I find myself changing, for better, for worse. God knows I am the last one to be trusted with any estimation of myself. I can absolutely guarantee you it will be highly in my favor at every turn. Even if I were to say how desperately wicked I am, I have some pride in knowing that. So don't be deceived. But I do consider what the scripture, I suppose it goes back to the scripture in some way, but it also goes back to just the realities of life and dealing with people. When people ask, have asked, do ask, well, why do you believe? What do you believe? How do you know what you know about Jesus? What do you think you know about Jesus? How do you believe this to be true? On what basis? And I've had different answers over the years, Maybe not different. Maybe it's always been the same, but with a different complexion or a different flavor. Sometimes or often it would be, a testimony of his mercy and grace, and God forbid it ever depart from that. Or it be some form of testimony of his power and his intervention in my life, and God forbid again that ever depart much from that. Lord, please don't leave me to myself. But lately I've been thinking, of that scripture, and in terms, like I said, of that scripture, be ready with an answer for the hope you have within you. Why? What is it? No, I wasn't present at the resurrection in the physical sense. I didn't see Jesus come out of the tomb. I've had visions and revelations, of course, as you have, I have no doubt. I've seen certain things I believe I've seen, even in visions. But as for what would be required in some sense for physical proof, material proof that others generally are asking for, that what's the hardest thing, the most firm foundation of all that you place your trust in? And like I said, it's been his kindness, his grace, his mercy to one who surely has never done anything to deserve it. But of late, I've really been thinking about the truth. I mean, it's always been the truth that has and always will, in some ways, hold us captive, for he is the way, the truth, the life. And I think of that song, if you search for tenderness, honesty, it won't be hard to find. You can find the love you need to live. But if you look for truthfulness, you might just as well be blind. For honesty, it seems too hard to give, or something like that. But honesty, the truth that I know is true, not that I hope is true in the sense of, well, I hope the heavenly promise is true. I hope the promise of mercy is true. No, the truth that I know beyond a doubt is true. And how he has patiently and in the most gracious way gotten over this truth to me that I cannot contradict, that I am the most hopeless of sinners. And yet I hear that with hope, because he who speaks it to me is the hope. But the truth of it, no attempt at flattery, there's no revelation no, I shouldn't say that. It's not a matter of revelation, but there's no appeal to something that at first glance would offer anything of comfort, anything of inclination to want to believe. that I am the most hopeless of sinners, that he has gotten this over to me, even to me, through years and decades of patience and saying it in the most mannered way, that it wouldn't terrify me, that it wouldn't cause me to be what? I don't want to say reprobate. I have been reprobate in thought and action. I don't want he's yet kept me, even in the telling me of that, but in such a way that it always ministers hope. And now that it is becoming more plain every day and less whatever the not plain is, diaphanous, ethereal, spooky, just so obvious. He is the truth. He speaks the truth. And because I know that, I know he speaks the truth relative to other things. Hope for the hopeless sinner. And that is what inspires me. That is what moves me. That is what preserves me. That is what causes me to have any joy. That he is faithful to his word. Because over the years he has shown I am not faithful to my word. If there have been any promises of mine to be better, try to do better, try to be obedient, seek to be obedient, they have been crushed, dashed, irreparably broken before my eyes in the light of his integrity, in the light of his piety, in the light of his obedience, unflinching, unfailing, undiminished. Where everything else is collapsing, myself particularly, he remains that steadfast beacon of salvation. Because I know he speaks the truth to me and about me without alienating me, without making me feel in any way rejected, speaks the harshest thing that any man might speak to another, and yet makes me feel loved in it. I don't doubt some of you understand this. I don't doubt that I understand it as I should, that he is my only hope, that I shall be satisfied with his likeness when I awake. Yeah, bless the Lord. Bless the Lord.